Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Khalid Abdulkarim, and I'm very happy to be here with you. I'd like to begin my remarks by thanking the sponsor for this very important event. And as many of you know, the US and Saudi Arabia had a close relationship, both politically and economically, since the formal establishment of Saudi Arabia over 100 years ago. Previously, Saudi Arabia was very poor economy, small businesses, but since we have very big hopes for Saudi Arabia leading the world in certain areas that we feel is part of our value that we can add to the world, as in the petrochemical, energy, and recently also we've been investing in the minerals with phosphates and aluminum. So this is a new addition to the strategies of Saudi Arabia. The US oil company that formed Aramco and realized the need at the beginning in the early 30s of a robust supporting economy in Saudi Arabia to help them to get involved to build up the oil industry in Saudi Arabia. And they encouraged Saudi to open and expand their companies to meet the need of the rapidly evolving economy. Abdulkarim Holding is one of those companies that took this challenge and expanding their local trading activity into now local manufacturing with multi-billion real businesses presently. We provide manufacturing, marketing, warehousing, and distribution for many products. A lot of them originally were US. I'd like to begin by briefly basically reviewing the Saudi economy development, and then we'll take some of the economic opportunity that is available or coming soon to Saudi Arabia. There we go. Saudi Arabia basically became unified in 32, and oil discovery and agreements basically was discovered and started and finalized in the early 30s. And production really started in about 37 and was halted when World War II came in, but really the business as we know it started in the 50s. Some of the largest oil field facilities is in Saudi Arabia and was discovered in the early 50s, and it continued. The big change happened in the early 70s or mid 70s with all of the huge fires that was going on in Saudi Arabia. Smokes were covering the horizon. And with the technology of gas into petrochemical, there was we had a gas gathering program by Fluor, started in '74, concluded to Saudi Arabia becoming one of the largest petrochemical producer in the world. At the same time also that with that huge revenue of oil, the public infrastructure projects, highways, schools, universities, housings, a lot of fundings is provided by the governments for individuals to build their dwellings and investments in buildings and so on. So there was a huge building program. Ships were waiting 6 months to a year in ports just to load, not just in Saudi Arabia, but the rest of the Gulf. It was a big challenge to accommodate that. The plus part of it is now we have some of the largest ports in the world to handle present and future big programs that we're having now. Presently, basically in the 2000, we start getting to this huge additional oil field developments, and also the gas. There is surprisingly a huge demand in gas for the, again, petrochemicals. Our model in Saudi Arabia is to process the gas in Saudi Arabia versus exporting it. We feel there's more value to the local economy if we produce in Saudi Arabia the resins and the petrochemicals and plastics in Saudi Arabia than that we export it as raw gas. And we feel that was a wise investment. Presently, we're also, as you're all aware of our recent Dow Chemical $20 billion project that was signed a few weeks ago. These are figures that I was corrected only a few minutes ago. That is over a trillion now. But I will not be surprised of the government serious effort into modernizing the country, continue to put that revenue back into the society, into the benefit of the individual citizen. So the physical infrastructure we're looking at is again port upgrades, new type of cranes, some of the latest cranes. We're looking at handling the ships, the huge ships that is looking at 18,000 container. So a huge investment. Roads. Saudi Arabia is one of the largest countries. Also, from over almost 2 million square kilometer, basically, which is require a lot of roads, a lot of investments, and the new investment also is the railroad, huge investments in railroads and universities. Two of the universities, each one is over $10 billion. And with the accelerated spending, we're looking at the three years time frame, and we have more of these projects in the drawings. Petrochemical expansion, again, Sadaras and Aramcos and Sabics and many other, we call them baby Sabics, that is in the 3 billions and the $2 billion range. Population is presently over 25 million, but expected with the high growth in Saudi Arabia of 3% to over 50 million in 25 years from now, which require a huge requirements for electrical power generation to fuel to assist that huge expansion, and all of these jobs would require electricity. So that's part of that expansion, and there is more required. Water desalination. It's a very poor country that requires a lot of water resources. And here where the US can help us out with new technology to process water or safe water or issues related to the water and handling also the waste and reprocessing. These are the technology that we feel lacking in Saudi Arabia. Telecom and IT, again, is an area that's dominated by Western, specifically US technologies. And this is an area that is a huge potential possibility. You can add to it security. It's just a huge demand, as everybody knows, on the security requirements nowadays. Tourism, leisures. We have the two holy places the first two holy places that Muslims go to. So we have millions of visitors for Mecca, Medina, And also we have undiscovered or not popular location that is great for tourism from, that is, would be an interesting if areas of the profession of tourism is not really been promoted. So we have areas for service company in this area to excel and promote. Natural gas production is to accommodate this huge demand for petrochemicals required around the world. So agriculture expansion, we're looking at new technology of water preservation and again, equipment. A lot of the farming equipment has also been supplied from US. Education and training, this is definitely the future of Saudi Arabia. We look at whatever we do, we need to build that future generations. And a lot of investment has been directed into that area. This is basically in a graph, the same figures that we had. Always have an interesting sample, basically, of the joint ventures. Jibel, I love to see, I've seen it when it was desert. It was a small village. We used to go there once a year in this time of weather when it's nice because it's something to do. And it's nice to see it now as a modern city, continue to expand, and hundreds of billions of dollars were input. I was in college those days in the 70s, mid-70s, late 70s, and I remember Time magazines putting a big elephant, white elephant, and says, Jibel, white elephant. At the time, we did not have the technologies coming from outside. The worker to do these countries is coming from outside. And what is it as a Saudi we're adding to this equation? Nothing, or perceived in the article as nothing. So we're glad that we were able to learn from these comments, learn from issues related to how can we develop our country in the right direction. And we're very proud that we continue to learn and continue to push and continue. Most important was the partnership that made this as a success. And most of that partnership was led by US technology. Bechtel, Parsons took the lead as a program managers to give us a direction, and our young people who were educated with our partners in those petrochemicals are now the presidents of these SABICs and projects. The greatest news we had last few weeks is the Sadara, which is a Dow Chemical and Saudi Aramco joint venture. This is, we feel, is another SABIC in the making. And it's, again, the relationship that we have with our US partners, that we were discussing how the size of it. It's looked like the place would be similar to a large US city. It would be a 64 square mile, one location, with 26 plants as one go, one project the first time, and over $20 billion investments, and it is utilizing the Saudi Aramco strict requirements of local manufacturing preference, and utilize the Dow basically approved suppliers. And as a result of this, plenty of local manufacturers, plenty of US manufacturers now coming to Saudi Arabia so to manufacture locally with partnership, so they can have a preference when the contractors. The bids are coming out already. This is not in the making. They've been working on this for the last three years. And I just received one of the bids. So the bills of material coming out, the people have been specified, the products. So it is real, very fast program. Uh, with the world economic situation, everybody knows now, the Middle East and Saudi Arabia specifically is where activity going. And also, it's very important to advise everybody, when you think Saudi Arabia, please think the whole Middle East, or at least specifically the Gulf, because it has same proximity, close, and the same principles, basically same specifications, same requirements. So you have a very large developing country, developing economy there, and the business is in the trillions. Recently, Saudi Arabia was also ranked as the top 10 of ease of doing business by the World Bank. So we're very proud of that rating. Very important in business is the fluctuation, currency fluctuation. Saudi Arabia has been tied to US dollar. We're very proud to advise everybody that we're not going to work on setting rates every day. So we pegged our reals to the US dollars, and that was giving stability to the economy. You can plan, and the rate's been stuck for almost now 20 years. Stable governments and the local manufacturing incentives is present and is very strongly recommended by all the principals, and for obvious reasons, the services will be available. The product that we supply, that it takes 4 months, 6 months to provide, now we can provide in a week, in days, because local capabilities. And it's the same principals who are doing it in the US, now they're doing it in Saudi Arabia with the local assistant. Now, when we talk local manufacturing, it's really, the idea of it is providing jobs to Saudis. So that's the overriding principles on this issue. So you may hear local manufacturing, but it's really, the purpose of it is to hire Saudis. So please, if anybody planning to have anything in Saudi Arabia, do not just think, well, I'm going to get everybody coming in, flying from everywhere. It's good to have people fly, but you have to have the plan to phase in the locals. Otherwise, it's the others who are investing would be you would notice that they're the one who's getting the business. The English has now been recommended to start from first grade, and there's a huge number basically of the English language literacy basically is high and getting higher. One of the most interesting subjects we have in Saudi Arabia is no taxes. Now that's no taxes for the local. Foreign companies can operate in Saudi Arabia with moderate tax rates and with tax holidays and so on. The models that I've put in the slides here is very interesting. Saudi Arabia now is open for business without any needs for a local sponsors. Saudi Arabia require your technology, and we are opening the country for you to come in and operate. You need to hire basically the local staff and pay the so-called the taxes of operating, doing the business. That's one model. Having a local partner should be able to accelerate your penetration to those local companies or local basically users, the oil companies and the water companies and the electrical companies, petrochemicals, because they already approved, they're already there to save somebody a couple of years into introducing their business, it's worth a lot. So the so-called expense of doing business there will be compensated of working with the good partners. And selecting a good partner is very important that you relate to we have Ed Burton here with the Saudi U.S. Chamber of Commerce. They know the business. Ed been basically as a consul, as a commercial consul in Saudi Arabia, so he familiar specifically with the Saudi environment and the partners. Each businesses have a different partner that would take you to a better success. And contacting the local consulates, commercial consulates would be very wise before you move further in making these decisions. Also important is the support. A lot of products, specifically the IT side, people are afraid that somebody will sell the softwares and then who's going to support it. So the software or sophisticated product, you need to have that local mechanism that would be carrying over. And many companies who are very successful are number 4 or 5 in the world. They're not number 1 just because number 4 and 5 decided to invest in Saudi Arabia. Local joint venture for specific purpose is also a common in Saudi Arabia. And sometimes you want to do, that's another concept where you can do local contracting to do specific jobs. And we're very proud that we have some of our principals that we just recently signed an agreement with, so we can do the product, local product manufacturing. So each company with its own feeling how, and their boards and their rules or regulation, how they want to handle this area. And all options are available. Definitely the market is there. One of the areas that is important is reputation, and for U.S. companies, you would definitely need to have a product that is zero incidents to start with. Developing effective market strategies. Saudi Arabia has different ways of promoting their products. So working with, again, local partners will assist you fast in this area. Our major companies, the Aramcos and the Sabics, are very specific regarding the pricing. They want to. Recently, we've been signing the 10-year contract, the 5-year contract, but it's important the pricing, basically, the pricing stability of the pricing. Supply chain is also very important, and effective communication, reporting with the customers mechanism is important. One of the issues that we find is maybe a small problems, but people get stuck because of principles and whatever. Resolving these smaller issues is maybe one of the also areas of success. And we know from experience that people have been really were guaranteed a lot of business just so their ability to resolve a problem created a long-term relationship.
Can I interrupt that?
Yes.
We're going to run out of time.
Okay. All right. This is basically our. I was leaving it to our side of the business. We have a various areas of the business that you can see. One of the latest is our lab system. With all these universities and activity, this is an area that we're expanded. But certainly our strength is automation and electrical, and these are some of the, again, the success with our various partners and long-term relationship. But again, in summary, Saudi Arabia is definitely, and the Middle East, specifically the Gulf, is a place to be. And I'm very happy to be with you, and we'll be here to answer any of your questions.
Thank you.